Hello and welcome to our Sunday evening's edition of Arirang News. I'm Daniel Choi. We begin with breaking news from the nation's top office. President Park Geun Hye has just announced a reshuffle of her chief aides this afternoon in response to rising calls for the personnel involved to be held responsible and step down. This comes less than a week since she addressed the nation in a public apology. We have our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-sun on the phone for us. Ji-sun, the widely expected reshuffle came out earlier than expected.
You're right, Daniel. The president had earlier ordered all of our senior secretaries to submit resignation letters on Friday and had canceled some of her scheduled events as she considered diverse measures to answer to confront the public to handle the situation. And here is the first act of taking responsibility for the series of scandals. The reshuffle replaces half of the president's secretaries. Take a listen.
Recognizing the severity of the situation and to promptly respond to calls for a reshuffle, President Park has carried out a reshuffle of her secretaries. All senior presidential secretaries, as well as the chief of staff, have submitted resignation letters. But considering the circumstances of state affairs, the president has accepted those from the chief of staff and the senior secretaries for policy coordination, political affairs, civil affairs, and public affairs.
Now, only 2 appointees have been named for the posts of civil affairs and public affairs, with the top office saying follow-up announcement will be made at an early date. Those with links to scandal are all stepping down, including Civil Affairs Top Secretary Woo Byung-woo, Senior Policy Coordination Secretary An Jong-bum, as well as one of Park's closest advisors, Chung Ho-sung, who is suspected of handing classified documents to Choi Soon-sil. Although the president has replaced some of her key aides, all eyes are her next move, whether she will continue with a cabinet reshuffle or further moves to respond from the demands from the public and the political side. After meeting with senior advisors of the ruling Tenuri Party on Saturday, President Park sat down with civic leaders on Sunday to hear their voices and the public sentiment on the current situation. Tens of thousands of people gathered in central Seoul at Gwanghwamun Square and City Hall on Saturday, calling on the president to step down and expressing their disappointment. Now, as for the prosecutor's continued attempts to raid the presidential office as part of the investigation, the top office rejected that, citing the facility's level of classification as an institute for national security, and the prosecutor's office said Cheongwade has been submitting relevant evidence and documents in a cooperative manner. I'll bring you more updates as the situation develops here at Cheongwade. Back to you.
All right, Ji-sun, we'll keep an eye out to see if the new Redeem team for President Park Geun Hye will be more than just a quick fix. Political parties are jointly calling for the immediate arrest of Choi Soon-sil, the confidant of President Park, who's sending shockwaves across the country for her deep involvement in influence peddling scandals that affected state affairs, urging a thorough investigation into the allegations surrounding her. The ruling Tenuri Party also suggested this afternoon that the presidential office form a coalition cabinet. We have our parliamentary correspondent Park Ji-won standing by on the line. Ji-won, it seems lawmakers are united in wanting some drastic response measures, though they do differ in the fine prints.
Hello, Daniel. With Choi's entrance into Korea early in the morning local time, the 3 main political parties each held emergency meetings this morning and afternoon to come up with their own responses to the swiftly changing situation. During its emergency meeting, the ruling Tenuri Party Supreme Council members decided to urge the president's office to form a new coalition cabinet soon. The coalition cabinet would include non-Tenuri politicians, and it shows the ruling Conservative Party also senses that the current cabinet members, some of whom are allegedly to be closely involved with Choi, can no longer lead the nation. The ruling party also urged the government to immediately arrest Choi and thoroughly investigate her. The main opposition Democratic Party of Korea also strongly urged the prosecution to immediately arrest Choi Soon-sil, adding that she should not be given time to manipulate other suspects or destroy possible evidence. The party also accused the president's office and prosecutors of failing to understand the level of public outrage, saying they still allow Choi special treatment. Regarding the ruling party's suggestion of a coalition government, the Liberal Party's chairwoman Chu Mi-hye said about 2 hours ago here at the Assembly that the suggestion doesn't mean anything at this point, and what really matters now is that the presidential office immediately arrest Choi Soon-sil, and only after that will come the possibility of other talks. The minor opposition People's Party also strongly criticized the prosecution's move to not summon her immediately, calling for her swift arrest and a fair and square investigation into the presidential office. Choi and other involved officials. The party also urged the president to come clean about all allegations before the public. Well, that's all I have for now, and now we'll bring you more updates in a later newscast. Daniel.
All right, thank you for that, Jiwon. A major piece of the puzzle that paints a disturbing picture of the Park Geun Hye administration, Choi Soon-sil has returned to Korea. And according to our Kwon So-ah, her arrival is expected to, of course, speed up investigation on the numerous allegations she's facing.
Choi Soon-sil is back in the country. The woman at the center of a massive political scandal arrived at Incheon International Airport Sunday morning after hiding in Europe for almost 2 months. She did not come directly from Germany, where she has been reportedly staying, but flew from Britain's Heathrow Airport to avoid attention from the press. Choi's return should speed up investigations into her suspected meddling with state affairs, with prosecutors expected to summon her as early as Monday. The 60-year-old did not appear in public, and her current whereabouts are not clear. Instead, her attorney held a press conference stating that Choi is willing to cooperate with the investigations once prosecutors call her in, but that she needs at least a day of rest.
Choi asked the prosecutors if they could give her a day to recover her health. Choi will fully cooperate with the prosecutors. She conveyed her deepest apologies for causing disappointment and frustration to the public.
Choi's daughter, Jung Yura, did not return with her. She's alleged to have received favors regarding her admission to Ewha Women's University. According to reports, Choi was accompanied by a prosecutor, which the prosecution denies. There is speculation that through her past connections, she could be getting rid of evidence and creating alibis to buy time. Probes of other key figures surrounding Choi's scandal are ongoing. Prosecutors summoned former K-Sports Foundation chairman Jung Dong-gu, its current chairman Jung Dong-chun, and former Secretary General Jung Hyun-sik Sunday, as Choi Soon-sil is suspected of raising funds for that organization, along with the Mir Foundation. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
Let's move on to other stories now. North Korea's unregulated market economy is responsible for over 28.5% of overall demand in the regime, including consumption and investment. That's the conclusion reached by the Bank of Korea after closely dissecting the relationship between North Korea's social accounting matrix, which studies the flow of all economic transactions between households, firms, and the government, and the regime's informal sector, or the self-employed economy that is not monitored by the central government. Researchers found that decentralized economic production and consumption have been on a constant rise in both the agricultural and the financial sectors, with the communist states' richest social class now using private financial institutions to invest in various construction projects. 28% is significantly higher than the range of 10 to 25% seen in the 15 republics of the Soviet Union from 1965 until its demise. Half of Korea's top conglomerates have posted negative growth in the first 3 quarters of the year in terms of sales. According to corporate tracker Chaebol.com on Sunday, 15 out of 30 companies, excluding financial firms, showed a decrease in sales from January to September compared to the same period last year. Q3 operating profits were also down on-year at 13 companies. Growth was especially poor in the country's main export sectors, such as electronics, cars, and steel. However, the shipbuilding industry showed better results than last year due to strict restructuring measures. Less than 10 days away until Americans elect a new leader, polls by major news outlets have Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton ahead of her Republican rival Donald Trump by a margin of 2 to 6%. Still, the FBI's reopening of a case regarding Clinton's email scandal could potentially revive Trump's camp. Kim Jung-soo helps us paint a clearer picture of how things could shape up in the coming days.
According to a poll jointly conducted by ABC News and The Washington Post and released Saturday local time, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is favored by 47% of the public, and businessman Donald Trump by 45%. The gap, however, is within the margin of error of plus or minus 3.5%. The poll covers October 24th through the 27th. Surveys conducted last weekend gave Clinton a soaring lead over Trump of up to 12%. But over the past 6 days, support for Trump has risen by 7%, while Clinton's has fallen by 3%. Experts say Trump's allegations that the U.S. presidential system is rigged, combined with his efforts to get his supporters to show up at the polls, have helped rally Republican voters behind him. At the same time, they point to a sort of overconfidence among Democrats, some of whom believe Clinton will win with or without their votes. It is also worth noting that the latest polls do not reflect the public's reaction to the announcement on October 28th that the FBI will reopen its investigation into Clinton's email scandal, which has long been considered as the Democratic nominee's biggest vulnerability. Polls in the upcoming week could see Trump take the lead. The period since the FBI's announcement is not yet covered by other surveys either. In the polling average compiled by Real Clear Politics, Clinton still leads by 5%. Meanwhile, according to the Washington Post, at least one voting irregularity has already surfaced. With early voting underway in several states, a registered Republican in Iowa named Terry Rote was arrested on Saturday local time for allegedly voting twice. She explained that she had done so in the spur of the moment because she was worried that, quote, the polls are rigged. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
Elsewhere around the world, Vietnam has reported the first case of microcephaly in the country, likely to be connected to the Zika virus. According to the nation's health ministry on Sunday, a 4-month-old baby whose mother was diagnosed with the mosquito-borne disease was found in the province of Dak Lak. If confirmed, this would be the second case of Zika-linked microcephaly in Southeast Asia, the first case having been confirmed in Thailand. Vietnam so far has reported a total of 9 cases of Zika infection, and health authorities say more cases are expected to be confirmed in the coming days. Earlier this month, Vietnam raised the threat level for Zika and stepped up monitoring of pregnant women amid growing outbreaks in the region. The connection between Zika and microcephaly first came to light in Brazil, which has confirmed more than 1,800 such cases. The condition causes the head and brain of a newborn baby to be undersized, among other brain abnormalities. And that concludes our newscast for this hour. We'll have more updates for you at 10 p.m. Korea time, so do join us then. Thank you for watching.